When Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, known to many simply as Oka, filed a prominent lawsuit against John Kennedy, it seemed the beginning of her political reckoning. But what followed was a moment so raw, so unexpected, that it would haunt trajectories, reputations and ultimately force a re-examination of what power really means. From the very first moment, AOC came into the courtroom with conviction. She had built her reputation on speaking truth to power, representing marginalized voices, and challenging the status quo. On the other side stood Senator Kennedy, a seasoned figure in the Senate, polished and politically savvy. The lawsuit alleged defamation, a smear on her record. She insisted and sought accountability. For AOC, it was more than personal, it was symbolic. Her supporters watched as she folded her jacket, looked across the courtroom, and said clearly that no one, not even a senator, was above the law. The press was there, the cameras rolled, the stakes were high. As the case progressed, the tension mounted. For AOC, the challenge was immense, balancing her legislative duties, her public persona, the ambitions she holds for herself and the ideals she promises her constituents. Critics said the lawsuit was a distraction. Allies said it was courageous. Every day she felt the weight of expectation, the fear of misstep, and the quiet ache of vulnerability. Senator Kennedy, meanwhile, maintained an authoritative calm. Outside the courtroom, he appeared almost unflappably even sympathetic in his own speeches about accountability and decorum in public life. Yet behind the scenes he prepared for a fight that he believed would test not just his reputation, but the entire arena of public discourse. Then came the day of reckoning, the hearing. AOC opened strongly, laying out her case. The senator responded with his customary reserve. But the moment that changed everything unfolded when Kennedy's key witness was called to the stand. In what seemed like routine testimony, the witness quietly recounted an interaction that AOC had claimed didn't happen, one that undergirded her allegations. Then, 9 seconds. In those 9 seconds, the witness paused, looked at the lawyers, blinked, and said, "I was present." The microphone captured it. Cameras caught the stillness of AOC's face. 9 seconds of silence. 9 seconds that shattered a legacy. In that instant, the momentum changed. The courtroom held its breath. AOC's supporters gasped. The senator's backers leaned forward. Reporters scribbled. The news wires pinged. Within minutes, the world felt it. The woman who had for years stood as a beacon for progressive hope now found herself in a spotlight of doubt. The emotional swing was dramatic. AOC, typically quick with the retort, now sat in stunned quiet. She clenched her hands, looked down, then up, but the edges of shock were visible. For someone used to being in control of her message, this pause felt alien. After the hearing, the fallout began. Social media erupted, critics pounced, supporters rallied. For AOC, it was a moment of reckoning with her image, with her politics, with her humanity. She held a private meeting with her inner circle late into the night, wrestling with shame, anger, sadness. She wondered, how had this happened? Was she too confident, too quick to assume truth would protect her? Was she a symbol or a person? Meanwhile, Senator Kennedy and his team circled the Victoria, but their own challenge came into view. What to do with a win that felt like a blow to political civility? For him, it wasn't mere triumph, it was a test of what public leadership should be when the powerful meet the ambitious. In the days that followed, AOC addressed the public, not with defiance, but with transparency. She acknowledged the testimony, admitted the wound, and spoke about the lessons. She reminded her constituents and herself that leadership demands vulnerability, that strength sometimes comes in admitting failure. She returned to the basics, the people she serves, the causes she fights for, the reason she entered public life. She spoke about the working-class families in her district, about access to healthcare, about the belief that even when you're on a stage, you're still human. Her supporters noticed the shift, not a retreat, but a deeper honesty. She began to incorporate the experience into her narrative. Yes, the lawsuit had been a gamble. Yes, things had gone awry, but it didn't define her. Her mission defined her. For Senator Kennedy, the victory came with a caveat. In his next speech he didn't speak of defeat, but of responsibility. He spoke of truth, yes, but of humility too. He acknowledged that the system is bigger than any one person and that political battles leave scars, and not just for the defeated, but for everyone involved. The resolution: AOC eventually negotiated a settlement quietly, off-camera. No public admission of wrongdoing, but a recognition of the damage done to her own credibility. For Kennedy, the suit was dropped. The public debate shifted from accusation to reflection. But the real resolution was deeper. AOC emerged from that courtroom not diminished, but humanized. Her legacy did not vanish. Instead, it was strengthened by acknowledging imperfection, by the courage to continue despite setback. She returned to her community, held town halls, told the story of how she stumbled, how she climbed back up, how she learned. She said leadership isn't about being flawless, it's about standing up after you fall. Her message resonated, for activists, for public servants, for anyone who has ever dared to speak truth when afraid. She said the 9-second moment would always be part of her story, but it would not be the end of it. In the end, the story of AOC suing John Kennedy becomes more than a legal drama. It becomes a human story of ambition, accountability, failure, resilience. It reminds us that even in the halls of power, we are all connected to the everyday struggle, the fear of being exposed, the pain of being wrong, the hope of redemption, and the inspiring message: real change doesn't come from perfection, it comes from persistence, from standing up, owning your misstep, and walking forward anyway, from showing the world not that you are untouchable but that you are undismissible. Because in the quiet aftermath of that 9-second blow, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez chose to let her legacy be defined not by the witness's words but by her response. And that choice, brave, messy, Rella, is the story we remember.